finding where you can find bargain still saving, the Carolina Swap Shop. And you can always give me a toll-free call, 888-331-0269, or you can always send me an email, ncswapshop@yahoo.com. This has been another installment of the Carolina Swap Shop. Again, thank you so very much for tuning on in. Your listenership and participation makes us what we are today, and me saying thank you just isn't enough there. Take care. Country music that spans the generations. WBRN 103.9 FM, 1250 AM, W280 FP, Silver McDowell County, Marion, and Old Fort.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. In their quest to hunt down and attack ICE agents, rioters in Minneapolis-St. Paul went as far as storming a church service yesterday. People even suspected of working for ICE, enforcing federal immigration law, were harassed. Some pro-ICE demonstrators also held gatherings over the weekend in Minneapolis-St. Paul. Demonstrations in Greenland over the weekend as President Trump stands by his declaration that the U.S. must gain control of the strategically important Arctic island. The EU is chiming in on Mr. Trump's threat of higher tariffs with threats of tariffs of its own on American goods. Spanish police say at least 39 people are confirmed dead in a high-speed train collision in southern Spain. The crash occurred last evening, and the train hit an oncoming train after derailing. Authorities still recovering bodies from the wreckage. SRNnews.com.
The Life Application Study Bible moves you beyond knowing the Bible to living it out. Each of the over 10,000 notes and resources were poured over by scholars and pastors, allowing you to confidently take a deep dive into history, culture, and Christian beliefs. But what sets this Bible apart is how it guides you to apply these insights to your daily life, transforming understanding into truth lived out. Learn more at lifeapplication.com.
Progressive knows RV owners like to travel at a nice, relaxing pace. Just like this commercial. They're not rushing to a departure gate at the airport because they depart from their driveway. And they can relax even more knowing they're protected by Progressive. Now here comes the fast part. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company.
Another day.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-364-7711. That's 800-364-7711. 800-364-7711.
Program is a paid advertisement and does not necessarily represent the views, opinions, or endorsements of Signal Hill Media Partners, its affiliate stations, or its advertisers. Welcome to Taking Care of NC, the program dedicated to exploring the issues, opportunities, and challenges shaping the great state of North Carolina. Join your host, Representative Jeff McNeely, as he delves into meaningful discussions about politics, community initiatives, and the people working to make a difference. Whether it's tackling local concerns, highlighting state achievements, or addressing pressing legislative matters, this show is your go-to source for understanding how North Carolina is growing and thriving. Stay tuned as we kick off another insightful episode of Taking Care of NC.
Good morning, North Carolina. Hope everybody's doing well out there today. It's a little cold, little chippy this morning, but you know it is January and this is how it's supposed to be. So put on the extra layer or two and get at it. Got a great show today. I got Lisa Meier, who's running for county commissioner here in Iredell. Second half of the show, I got Martin Gottholm, I got to say it right. He's running for district court judge here in Iredell. And folks, like I said, if there's anybody out there in other counties that like to get on the show, just reach out to the station, or you can DM me on my Facebook page, or however you want to get up with us. I'm accessible. I'm pretty sure you can find me. Today also we like to observe Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, and then I'm going to read a quick quote here, and it says, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy." And that's true of men and women both. Where are you when it gets tough? Are you coming out of the foxhole, or are you hiding? This is not easy in today's world, especially in the political arena. Lisa's over shaking her head. She already knows it. She gets it. This rings very true to me a lot of times in a lot of circumstances I find myself in, especially politically. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into the program. Lisa, how are you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate the platform to be able to share.
Well, I'm trying to give everybody a chance to get their self out there in front of the public and know. Lisa's one of 6 different candidates running for county commissioner. I think it's March the 3rd is election day, but early voting's the 16th. Starts January 16th. I got it somewhere, folks. I'll get you an exact.
I think it's the 12th, actually. But
maybe the 12th. It's coming.
February 12th.
It'll be here pretty daggone quick. So anyway, I think absentee ballots have already been mailed out.
Yes,
so if you need that, you need to make sure you get up with your local board of election if you need an absentee ballot for some reason or another. But let's go ahead and get into this, Lisa. Who are you? Tell me a little bit. Family? Where? What?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to share. Yeah, thank you. So I'm going to first start with my business background. I have ran some large businesses in my career, both with publicly traded and privately held organizations. That's given me a chance to really travel a lot outside of the U.S. And manage inside of the U.S. So that included large international teams, very complex budgets. And I've also launched my own consulting business, and my husband and I own a property investment business locally here, too. So lots of business experience, and I'm excited to put forward. From a personal standpoint, my husband and I moved here in 2014 for no other reason than we found this beautiful community here.
Hidden jewel.
It is a hidden jewel. It is. It's not so hidden anymore, as we can tell from the growth. But so when we moved here, really it was driven by the quality of life that the whole county offers, from the north side to the south side, different personalities, even different landscape, energy down south, a really quiet, peaceful, personality up north. So lots of things drove us here. I have 2 children. One graduated from USC Charlotte. She works down in Charlotte at Corning. And my son is still in high school. So he's in Lake Norman High. He's a junior. And we're really excited about all his energy on his future vision of what he wants to do. But he's been in the public school system since we moved here. And that's a little bit about me. I'm originally from Indiana. So I'm a Midwest girl, grew up on a farm myself. So lots of sensitivity to the beautiful farms up north. Part of the reason that I'm so excited about this venture is because I feel strongly about representation on the south side. So I live down Brawley, down on the south side in Mooresville. So that's a little bit about us. We've been here the whole time and love it. Yep.
Well, right now there is nobody in the southern end of the county.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's people down there that are murmuring.
Yes.
Why not?
Yes. Well, good. I'm glad you're murmuring. Yay.
All right. So you kind of said it, but maybe there's a little more we can dig out of you and get out.
Sure.
Why are you wanting to be elected to the office of county commissioner? This is not easy. I've been there.
Yes, and it's been an interesting journey. What I see at why now at this point is I have been trying to identify how to bring that experience I have, the business acumen, forward. And there's a point that your experience and your passion really come together, and timing's everything. And with all the growth that's happening in our county, and really some challenges on different areas I see with schools, safety service, and so on, I felt really strongly this was a good time to step in, put that experience forward, and really help with decisions that will drive what our future county looks like. So I feel quite strongly about that, and that's part of the reason for stepping in. And the other is because we need strong representation in the South Side. And if you look at the numbers, the tax base, and the population south of Troutman.
Actually, south of 150.
Yeah, 150. It needs some representation. And that's where I feel my background and opportunities comes into play.
Okay. I always tell everybody Iredell County is a unique county because it's so long. It's like 61 miles.
Yeah.
Tall, long, however you want to call it. It's about 61 miles from the lake to all the way up to the very top. We'll call Turkey Foot. That's about as close as you're going to get, or to the very end there up in where it hits Yadkin and Wilkes. And it's almost 3 different areas. You got your metropolitan area, I'll call it, very hustle bustle in the south end, especially. I guess, exit 36, if Cornelius Rotary is built, actually, might as well just go ahead and say the Troutman exit there. I always call it the Wilco exit. We'll call it whatever. I guess that's 45. From there down.
Yeah.
A lot of commerce, a lot of business, a lot of people, a lot of houses, a lot of demand for, different things.
Yes.
Not a lot of the county still left. A lot of it's already been inside of city limits or town limits of something.
Yes.
It'd be Mooresville, Troutman, whatever. And then you come to the middle where you start there about Troutman and go all the way up to Statesville and on up to about Highway 21 exit there at the auto auction. And that's another world.
Yes, it is.
That's another world right in there. It's kind of urban, but there's still some chunks of land here and there may be a farm or two in that, and it's trying to figure itself out. No offense, it don't want to be Mooresville, but it's wanting to be something.
Something, yes.
Yeah, and then after you leave Highway 21 exit up there, it's a whole nother world.
Beautiful.
They don't really want a lot, and they don't really bother a lot. Just let me do my thing.
Yes.
Leave me alone.
Yes.
We want to farm. We want to be able to walk out and not see our neighbor, but know he's over there other side of the hill.
Yes.
And so
it's kind of interesting.
It's tough.
Yeah, it is tough. And so I was at a beautiful church breakfast this past Saturday, and on the drive up there, I'm like, oh darn, it's raining.
Kids can have one. Did I miss it?
Yeah. They did Saturday. It was beautiful.
I hate that we don't get word out.
Yeah, it was great. So on the drive up there, I'm like, oh, it was rainy Saturday, right? But the rain was so beautiful when you drive through. It's so quiet and quaint up there. But just kind of meeting with the people that morning, the personality of that area came out, and I asked one gentleman, I only say his name by Donald. I told him I would only bring up his first name, but so I said, what is it that would help you at this side of the county? Like, what would you like to see? He said, build me a wall.
I think I know which Donald you're talking about.
Bill, okay. So, and it just shows how passionate they are about the protection of their land up there. It's really beautiful.
Well, wait till about the time the primary hits, about March 3rd, and everybody's got their fertilizer out on their pastures and their small grain, and it all turns green, and it looks like Ireland. Ireland. And it does. And I see now why a lot of the Scott Irish, including myself and my family, why we settled here, because of that and the rolling hills. But the rolling hills are getting bulldozed flat, and houses are getting built. So it's a balancing act. It's a very, very unique balancing act. My district basically covers from like that 45 Troutman up area. And so I want to see things happen, but I want to see things happen where we don't go, God, that's ugly. Why don't we do that?
Right, exactly.
I want it to be where we can all still do what we want.
Enjoy,
Yes.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. So like I said, you don't have to figure out how to appease three groups of people. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And just on that point, another reason that I'm so passionate about now is we are challenging. Part of the reason that my family moved here is about the quality of life. And if you look at the speed of growth in the county and what's happening with the challenges on our schools, our school systems, our safety services, just the infrastructure in general, if we're not careful, we're going to see the growth outpace the ability to keep up with all those services and support. That's going to challenge our quality of life. And that's part of the reason I'm quite passionate today to see if I can be involved in some of those decision-making in the decision-making process.
Yeah, and the bad thing is when growth happens so quickly, you get into a reactionary mode instead of a reactionary mode to be able to get things done. You're always catching up.
That's right.
And that's really hard because even when new tax revenues come, there's the lag that you experience of at least probably 12 to 18 months before that money's realized. And by then, there's already needs. And
that's right.
County does not do roads. County does not do water and sewer. So when things need to be improved, it's difficult. It's difficult to a point. We're at the state's mercy in a lot of things, or we're at the environmental services division of the county to say, well, all right, well, can we really put septic tanks here, or are we going to end up messing up our groundwater table? So it's interesting.
Yes.
All right. Well, like I said, understand where you want, and I see where you're coming from. All right. along with that, what do you see, and you've already kind of said it, growth.
Yeah.
What do you see as the biggest challenge for Iredell County with growth? Anything else, or just more on growth because it's there?
Yeah, it's really growth. And I roll it up to quality of life. Okay, so the growth is happening. We're north of Charlotte. That's going to continue. But how we respond to that growth, I think, is the most critical path. And so if you think about quality of life, and it's defined differently by each of us, right? On the north side of the county, you want to protect that peaceful, quiet, farmland. On the south side means something different. So my goal is to really hear what the people are saying, because I'm a resident as well, right? And understand what that quality of life means, and then how we can identify maintaining that quality of life. So I roll it up as the biggest challenge for Iredell County is to maintain what we all have as an expectation of our own. And that can funnel down to many different areas. One is, the schools. One is, it's all growth driven, but it goes into all those different sidebar conversations. So mine is about quality of life and managing thoughtfully the decisions we make about that growth so that we maintain the quality of life that we've all defined for ourselves.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things that you'll find if you do get elected county commissioner is going to be how, I always say the best way to cure traffic problems is to have your job close to your house.
Yeah.
So if you really want
that's true, yeah.
So now you've got to look at the economic development side of this equation.
That's right.
How do we go about bringing business
That's right.
to Iredell County, sustaining business with jobs, not just necessarily retail,
That's right.
but other things. And of course, Statesville, once again, you're back to these three different areas. Statesville it's distribution.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we've fought that for a long time. Try to do manufacturing, and manufacturing is great, and we got it, and I'm glad, and we'll take any we get.
Yes.
But when the girl that we brought to the dance was I-77 and I-40, and I think we ought to dance with her.
Yeah, absolutely, 100% agree.
So that's the big thing too, trying to make sure that you don't outdo yourself with too much residential to not balance.
Yes.
And one of the things when I was county commissioner, I always kind of prided myself on, but I always like to say I was the economic development guy, because whenever we had a company come in, I would be the one trying to talk with them, or I would be the one, we'd try to set up different things with our economic development group, Jim Bosser and all those. Then back then I forgot who all we had then, and we had quite a few, but she's been doing it for a while. But being able to sell Iredell County to these people.
Yes.
Tell them, we got a viable workforce here, and we do, and we can train, and we can do these things.
Yes.
So
that being said, I'm going to go to the schools for a minute, because there's a lot of debate about, funding for the schools. And there was a lot of conversation about transparency, and, we can't really see what's going on. And when I first looked for the budget, was able to find it, I'm like, okay, it's transparent, it's there. That being said, when you actually start to dig down in any of those line items and understand how that money is getting allocated, it is very hard to track. So I can honestly see why there is frustration about, transparency of how those funds are shifting. And when you talk about the school system, we really have to be very aware and diligent about how we're funding our future leaders, because our leaders are going to lead this county in the future. And, if they are shorted the resources and opportunity, then we're going to challenge that model. And we're also going to challenge that model when we're selling it to our businesses. So all that kind of comes together and is intertwined. And so it's really important that we can all get transparent about how that money's being utilized, how it's shifting from bucket to bucket, how we baseline it. So here's your baseline, here's your benchmark, and how we track that year to year. And so I say that because I'm excited to be able to get engaged and do that. And I think that's one of the biggest sensitivities. So that happens, that's just schools, but we can go through safety services. We can go through, I sat in a meeting the other day with some of the county commissioners and the planning board. They were showing some of the results from the fire safety study. Right away, questions about what do those numbers represent? How did we get there? And can we actually validate the movement from one to the other? And does it align with the growth in the county? So those are some of my sensitivities. I'm not going to go too deep in those, but I'm just bringing those up as opportunity for our listeners to really understand, hey, if you want to know, let's ask for the transparency and try to map it. Not that there's anything right, wrong, or indifferent. It's that it should be transparent to us to track.
Yeah. I did think it was kind of unusual that they had that study, brought it, and then decided to table it there at the last meeting.
Yes.
I believe if you don't want to hear it just right now, you just don't bring it to the meeting at all. You don't do a table.
Yeah.
But hey, I wasn't there. That was their call. Just thinking there's some stuff in there that maybe is going to be challenging. It'd be interesting to see how it's going to get handled. That fire service survey is going to really, I think, shed a lot of light on how we go about doing a lot of our emergency services.
Yeah, and it should be transparent for all of us to understand, because I'm sure there's opinion out there. You're bringing a lot of experience to the table, right? And I'm sure there's opinion that might change or challenge the thought process so that we maintain those safety services for our growth.
All right.
That might be too much for everybody, but I'm throwing it out there.
So this one here, and there's, this is kind of like hitting the lottery. That's what I've said earlier to a point. A lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people don't want it, but it will generate some tax dollars. And, with roughly at some point about $25 million in tax revenue coming in from the data centers going to be put out there at Stamey Farm Road, what would you do with that money? This newfound lottery money, we'll call it, this coin that got turned over in the dirt.
Yeah, isn't that exciting, though? Newfound money, how often does that happen?
Not often.
I know, it's very exciting.
Newfound expenses all the time.
Yeah, that's right.
Newfound income revenue.
That's right. So, what a great opportunity. The first thing I would say is, everybody challenges the tax position. And I do believe it's up to us to do, the due diligence to understand what that funding could do to ease that tax burden. I'm not, going any deeper than to say, let's understand what that could do for our county and relieve some of the challenges we have from north to south side. The other thing that I feel quite strongly about, especially after we had the hurricane come through, we need to take a percent of that. Could be 5%, 15%, but put it in a long-term investment pool. Because that money, even if it's $5 million with compound interest over, a year and a half, you just found another $1.25 million, $1.5 million. So that's another place that I would put some funding so that we are always prepared and don't end up in a situation that, we don't have some emergency funds to support us. And then the other pockets of money, I think it's up to us to listen to our county, our residents, and what does that survey, not a survey per se, but what does the ear on the ground tell us about what the county residents really want to see done with those funds. And I think that's the key driver. So those three things is, I guess, if that funds came to me, the first thing I would do is do my due diligence to walk through, hear what the residents want. We hear affordability is one of the biggest challenges. Identify quickly what. Yeah, it's a hot word. Absolutely.
I don't know what it means.
What does it mean? That's a question. Then find out what that really means to each of our residents, and then identify how we could potentially utilize those funds to answer that call. Again, long term, I would like some of those funds to go into a long term investment pool so that we can capitalize on that compound interest over and over. And then the third would be identifying needs that is the collective community for safety services or schools. So that would be my comment to how I would utilize those funds first and foremost.
And, one thing, and I'm not trying to get off too far a tangent here, but one thing that I regretted when I was county commission before I left and went to the House, got appointed, I still have 1.5 years left in my term. Back in 2008, I think it was, whenever we had the housing crisis, and I went into a little bit of I'd say a recession. So things got tough, and we had a local teacher supplement.
Yes.
And
I've heard about that.
Yeah,
yes.
And if you hadn't been here, it's hard to know a lot of the histories. But things had to be trimmed. They cut about 10% on every department. I mean, money just wasn't there. Things got really tough. And so that got cut out. And I really wanted to get that put back in before my time was done as a county commissioner, and an opportunity came. And so it did. And it was I'm thinking at the time it was close to $1,000, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, but right around 1,000 or so. And then in 23, I think it was, we ended up in the state side of it doing some, basically coming back through and doing that same thing, that allotment or whatever for each county. And Tier 1 counties are the poorest, got more. Tier 2 got a little more, a little less. And Tier 3, which is Iredell, we fall in that top 20 counties, got the least, but it still ended up being about $500, maybe close to $600. And that was to help buffer where you had Wake. Well, for us, you had Mecklenburg, giving like $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 teacher supplements, so people won't go across the line, even though it might be a little tough teaching in a combat zone, to Mecklenburg. So this helped give us a little something. So I'm hoping, not only do we look about easing the tax burden, but maybe somewhere in there we at least come up and match what the state's done for Iredell. We've had a pretty big increase in the budget just in the last 6 years, about $140 million, give or take. And so somewhere in there, I feel like, especially with this data center going, there's room for that.
Yes, there is room for that. And Jeff, I love what you're saying. We all need to understand, if we want our kids to come out with as many opportunities as possible, we need to address, our teacher challenge, because we want the best of the best teachers teaching our children, because we believe our children, we want them to be the best of the best, right? So there is a challenge that's happening there that we really need to open our eyes to and make sure we're protecting our teachers, our good quality teachers, because that gives the leadership for this county in the future. And so, it could be that the President of the United States comes out of this county someday. Let's hope we give them the tools to be able to achieve that.
That'd be huge.
Yes,
huge. That's what he'd say.
Yeah.
He came out.
Yeah. So I totally agree with what you're saying, and I would love to kind of visit the history with that and the flexibility and the opportunity we can create to provide supplements to our teachers. Reward them for the time, the investment they're giving to teach our future leaders. So,
well, I always felt like that was just a thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Sometimes they don't get that.
Yes, that's right. I agree.
So, all right. So now we're getting down here to the nitty gritty, whatever. And folks, I don't know. I need to maybe put this out on Wham's Facebook page, website, or something so they can see it. Or y'all can go to mine. I'll make sure it's up on jeffmcneely.com. But since county commissioners don't have a say in annexation, would you be willing to support House Bill 348? And basically what that is if land is in present use value, I'm going to repeat what I did last week, but I think we need to. Land is in present use value, which we call that foreign tax, and it wants to be annexed into a city or town. As of right now, the county commissioners, who are the only ones that are elected to represent people that are outside the municipalities, ETJs or city limits, don't have a say. So this bill would actually give the county commissioners, if it involved increasing the capacity of schools over 100%, it would allow the county commissioners to have a vote in it where they don't now, so they could say no to annexation. And there's also a little subclause that even if the county commissioners vote no and the municipalities still want the development, they can go ahead and annex, but they will have to pay the county whatever it takes to put the schools in that little area, wherever the development is, back to 100% capacity. They can't be over. So how do you feel about this? This gives you, if you become a county commissioner,
yes, you
will have a say.
Yes.
Right now, you don't.
You don't, yes. It's interesting. So I'm on the Iredell County Planning Board now, and that was one of my first challenges when I looked at some of the cases coming before us is how much say does the county commissioner actually have in some of these conversations? And, it's kind of rough. So the bill, the way it reads now, does give us an opportunity to at least have some input in that. Right now, the input's minimal to none. And nobody likes annexation. There's a challenge.
Especially if you don't have a say.
Especially if you don't have a say. Yes. And this isn't saying no. This isn't saying no, we're going to stop something at all. The way I interpret it, and please clarify, is that it does just give us time to do a little more due diligence and dig in and assess before that decision is automatically made. And so I have no problem with anything about the bill the way it's written today, and it does give some more transparency, I do believe, an opportunity to voice more opinion about it. Does it slow anything down? If we're moving so fast right now, and that's one of the biggest complaints in the county, then why not have an opportunity to pause for a brief minute and make sure we all understand the impact that decision is going to have, again, on our quality of life and on the residents that surround whatever targeted location we're talking about.
Well, what I think it will help is one, interfill. Mm-hmm. Let's fill up the inner city limits or the town limits or whatever before we go creeping out. So it cuts down on what we call sprawl, which is just unhinged growth.
Yeah.
And so it does that, but it also will help me, in my opinion, make the developer look and see, okay, well, this school over here is only running at about 60, 70, 80%. I don't even know if we got anything like that in the county, more like 90.
Yeah.
But it still will say there's room here.
Yes.
When you look over here and you go, all right, this one's got 6 mega units pulled into it, and the school ain't but 10 years old, it's jammed. Maybe this is not where I need to put 600 more homes. And so I think it will help us kind of push and steer where we want development to be and not be. And it will also allow citizens to be able to come to their county commissioner they voted for and say, hey, we want this. We don't want this. We want you to tell us what you want. Do you want this? So now all of a sudden, as the old saying goes, you got skin in the game.
Yeah.
You can't have that old plausible deniability. But dang, I wish I could have done something about that development. But I can't.
Yeah.
I have no way.
Yeah, that's right. But let's clarify, that doesn't stop the development. No, all it does is give us a chance to do a little more due diligence and look at the areas of pockets of opportunity.
That land, as it sits in the county, can have 2 houses per acre, just like we've been doing. Just when it gets drawn into the city, this is when we're talking 5, 6 houses per acre. And a huge development comes. You go from having 100 homes on 50 acres to having 500 homes on 50 acres. So that's the problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So you like that? All right, good deal. All right, we're about a little over time, but I can make it happen. However, give us your 30-second. Why should we vote for Lisa Meier?
Yeah, so I appreciate that, Jeff. Real quick. Quite excited to utilize my background and my passion about, for Iredell County to really optimize our quality of life and make sure we're being very thoughtful in our decision making as we try to manage this growth that is coming our way. I appreciate the support I've received so far, and I would appreciate the support from all the county to elect me into the role, and I look forward to the opportunity to really optimize and be open and listen and keep my ear to the ground for all the county. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Lisa Meier.
Lisa, good luck.
Thank you.
Wish you well.
Yay.
Thank you for coming in and talking with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a break. We got to pay some bills, and we'll be right back. Got Martin Gottholm coming in. Thank you.
Kids across America are going to school hungry. Millions of kids every day. But one simple thing can help change all of this for a hungry child in America. Good, healthy food and the energy it brings. With help from caring people across America, No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures. To learn more about ending child hunger in America, go to helpnokidhungry.org today.
We all want more for North Carolina. More boundless views, more adventures in the outdoors, and more clean roads to get there. But to get more, we have to do less. Less littering, that is. Make it your nature to trash your trash and keep NC clean. And we'll all have more reasons to love North Carolina. Litter less, get more. For more on the 7 outdoor NC Leave No Trace principles, visit OutdoorNC.com. Sponsored by the North Carolina Association of Broadcasters and Visit North Carolina, a part of the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina in cooperation with this station.
We all play a role in keeping our community safe.
Every day, we move in and out of each other's busy lives. It's easy to take for granted all the little moments that make up our everyday.
Some are good, others not so much.
But that's life.
It's when something doesn't seem quite right that it's time to pay attention.
Because only you know what's not supposed to be in your everyday.
So protect your everyday.
If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
Bravo, Brenda. You've always been a saver. Price matching your price matches. The self-proclaimed queen of extreme couponing. But this time, you've truly outdone yourself. By saving for this electric vehicle, you're locking in up to $1,000 a year in fuel and maintenance savings, which will leave you saying, cha-ching, every time you unplug. Good for your wallet, great for the planet. That's the power of EV. Sponsored by the ANC Clean Energy Technology Center and the North Carolina Association of Broadcasters in cooperation with the station.
So you kind of start with question 3.
Yep. All right, folks, we're back here for the second half of the show. Got a friend of mine, got Martin Gottholm in here with me. I'm saying it right, Gottholm.
Perfect. A lot of people mispronounce it.
All right. That should be real easy because I got a home, so I should know that. So anyway, but Martin, tell us a little bit. Who are you? Who is Martin Gottholm, running for district court judge here in Iredell, Alexander County? Who are you?
Exactly. So the short version is, after the military, after Army flight school, I couldn't get a job flying with 300 hours in a Huey. So I came down to go to law school at Wake Forest.
Okay.
And practiced law in Winston-Salem for a couple of years, doing real estate, some estate administration. And I thought, this isn't what I really went to law school for. So long story short, a prosecutor there that I'd done a third year of trial practice class in the DA's office came looking for me and said, hey, I have a classmate over in Statesville, Iredell County. He needs a new assistant DA. And, Jeff, this is one of the finer compliments I got in my career because Gene Morris, who was then the DA in this four-county district, told Dave Spence, he said, give me some names. And Dave said, Gene, I'll give you one name. Call this guy, and if you don't like him, then call me back. I'll give you some other names. So the next day at the office, Gene Morris called me. Long story short, 2 weeks later, I'm here in Statesville as a prosecutor.
Yeah.
Loved it. I could have just as easily been a career prosecutor, but after 3.5 years, I ran for the bench and got elected.
Yeah.
So district court judge for 4 years. Halfway through my term, the legislature made it nonpartisan, and you need a party to support you. And I got outspent about 7-1, and that's kind of another story. But lost my reelection bid, and I thought, well, politics is a tough business. Judges are partisan. It is political as far as getting elected. So at that point, I was back in the National Guard. I was flying Blackhawks. And I saw the writing on the wall. We were about to get deployed in about a year or so. So I couldn't open up a law practice for a year, so I flew for Baptist Hospital for about 1.5 years.
Wow.
And that was an amazing job. And I tell people 2 weeks on that job, when you sweat the small things that make you happy or healthy and alive.
Yeah.
Some of the scene calls you get called out for. Did that.
The worst of the worst.
Yep. So I went to Iraq in 2005, got back, took a little time off, and started my own law practice back again. And was doing well, enjoyed it. I had 2 paralegals, doing 1 criminal, 1 civil, domestic, which is mostly what my practice has been over the years. And 2011, second deployment. So I approached some attorneys that I knew and respected and said, hey, let's form a partnership so I can leave for another year. And when I come back, we'll have a partnership going. And that's exactly what happened. Spent 2011 in Iraq, got back, and then practiced law with a couple individuals until the partnership broke up about 6 years ago. And I went back to being a solo practitioner. And in 2000, around 14, before I actually retired from the Guard, just because I love flying in combat zones, I went over to Afghanistan for a year and did a contract gig flying for the U.S. State Department over in Afghanistan. So I've had an amazing career, both flying, what I call 2 full-time jobs, both flying and the law. And when I fully retired from the Guard, then I finally started another full-time job, and that was getting married and having 3 children.
Mm.
So that is my full-time job, and practicing law is my second.
And your kids are pretty young.
They are. 8, 6, and soon to be 4.
Yep.
So my 2 oldest go to ARS. I love that school. I'm on the board there. And my youngest goes to First Pres, where we attend, and where my wife teaches preschool.
Cool.
So we live right in town, and it's a great existence.
Well, all right. Now, this, like I said, judges are a little different. County commissioners, just Iredell, but you actually cover, and I guess it's, is it 22 or 32. I can't remember.
So it was 22 when we were 4 counties.
Yeah.
Davy Davidson, Iredell, Alexander. Right. Then they changed to 32 when they split the district. So right now, Alexander, Iredell counties are the 2.
That's District 32.
Exactly.
So I knew I had the numbers in my head, but I couldn't remember exactly.
And tell me, believe me, I look forward to campaigning just in 2 counties rather than 4.
Anyway, so you know Iredell and Alexander.
Correct.
So you got both of those, and our district attorney Sarah
Kirkman,
yes, sir,
who I worked with when I was prosecutor.
Yep. She covers those same areas. So what district court judge? You know, tell us a little bit about what you have, because you've been there and done it. But what will you see as a district court judge? What are the cases you're going to see?
So we got 2 trial levels, if you just put aside small claims court for a moment. So district court is the bench trials where all the judges decide guilt or not guilty in criminal. There are no juries in district court. You also have civil court, which is 98% domestic. So that's exclusive jurisdiction for anything you have in child custody, divorce, alimony, how we're going to divide our marital assets. That is all handled by district court judges. And then the other equally important is juvenile court. So you've got juvenile court where if you've got delinquent children, they come in for delinquency if they get in trouble. And then on the flip side of that, you've got DSS, the Department of Social Services, and that's the parents. If they're abusive or neglecting their kids, that's when they come into juvenile court. So you got civil district, all domestic primarily, some appeals from small claims, criminal, all misdemeanors, some low-level felonies, and then juvenile court.
Okay. And you know, y'all have to make sure y'all have your I guess the old saying, your I's dotted and your T's crossed.
Certainly.
Because if people think that there's anything gone wrong, they're going to appeal it to Superior, and then they're going to do a Court of Appeals. And at some point in time, I guess if you got enough money and time, you're going to end up in the North Carolina Supreme Court. Those are kind of rare, but it does happen. But the big thing is, if everything's done right at the district court level, there's really not a whole lot that they can bring forth at the Superior Court level. I don't think you can introduce new evidence in Superior Court if you didn't in district, can you?
Well, you can in criminal. So you can appeal any criminal matter in district court to Superior Court for a jury trial, because everyone's got a right to a jury trial, right? So then it's what they call trial de novo, a fancy way of saying it's a new trial. Everything that happened in district court is now gone. You get a new trial in Superior Court. And if people have confidence in their judges in criminal court, the evidentiary findings, the rulings, then they're less likely to appeal it. Once again, going back to what you just said, if they make correct decisions, they being the judges. But they can appeal. Civil court, juvenile court, those 2 go to the Court of Appeals. So those are less likely to be appealed just because of the procedural and sometimes the cost involved. I was appealed to the appellate courts, I think, twice in my whole 4 years. And my decisions were upheld.
Well, and I guess what I'm getting at, to a point, because you don't have a jury, it is the judge's decision to weigh the facts in a case and make the decision. So now we're wanting somebody in that position who we believe to be of conservative values, that you're going to go with the rule of law, not with emotion.
That's right.
That's, I think, a big thing, because I think now a lot of times what we see is a lot of emotion from the bench. Maybe not so much in North Carolina, some, but we see it a lot across the country, especially even in these federal judges, you know, where they're not really looking at how the precedent was set. They're just doing how I feel like it ought to be. So district court judges, I guess what I'm trying to say to you, and you've been there and done it and were successful and did a good job for us, they're the kind of the backstop of the beginning of justice in the system in North Carolina. And we got to make sure that we have quality people making the decision, yes or no, guilty, not guilty. And we want conservatives on there. And now, I've known you a long time and known you to be a conservative person. You've been of the Republican Party
all my life,
all your life. Now, that's where it gets a little questionable in your race. And I won't call out, I never try to bring out opponents, but I will say the one you have has been a Republican, has been a Democrat for as long as I remember, all of a sudden back again to a Republican. not sure where we're at here. So I got question marks, and I don't like question marks when it comes to my judge that I'm going to go in front of when I'm innocent. I'm hoping I'm not doing anything wrong, that I'm going to get the answer or I guess I'm going to get the decision that I feel like is rightfully so. And if not, they're going to have a very good reason why, and they're going to base it in the rule of law and facts of law, not in emotions. I don't want emotions. I want facts. That's what I want. And I feel like, Martin, that's where you will be a really, really good judge on the facts and on the rule of law.
Yeah, and I like to think I was when I was on the bench. You make good, sound decisions. You know the law. And I've practiced in all these areas. I haven't focused my practice in just one area. So I've criminal, the juvenile. I got certified as a juvenile court judge. There's extra training you do for that. And then family law. So I've covered all these areas a lot. And I'm good at what I do, and I work hard. And I enjoyed it. Really enjoyed being a judge. And, as far as the partisan aspect of it, this position was created by a vacancy when a judge left the office. 5 names went to the governor. He appointed the only Democrat, then Democrat. The other 4 were Republicans. I understand. It's just a
now there would
partisan.
be 5 Republicans if it was done right today.
Correct.
See, she changed parties since she was disappointed.
So, and because of that now, this is a primary race.
Yeah.
There are no Democrats. So
after this is done, it's done. March 3rd is it.
March 3rd is it. So early voting starts February 12th. The election is on March 3rd. And then the voters will have to decide how they feel. The Republican voters and any of the independents choosing to vote on the Republican ticket will have to decide how they feel about a lifelong Republican versus somebody who is not.
No. Well, like I said, I've talked to you and got to know you. I know where you're at on the issues. As a judge, I'm not going to ask you about these things because at any given point, somebody out there can say, well, he needs to be recused.
Sure.
But I know the mindset. I understand where you come from. I understand, like I said, once again, you're not one of these that's going to rule on how I feel. You're going to rule on what the precedence is, what the rule of law says, and that's so critical. I watch. It's almost comical to a point, and I guess a lot of what I watch is the North Carolina Supreme Court, and you know how the vote's going to about go on every case, except sometimes the conservatives might fool me, but you know what? The liberals never fool me. Never fool me. And most of the time they come out and state who they are and what their position is before the trial ever comes to them, but yet will not recuse themselves even though they've made up their mind before the trial ever happened. And I don't believe you will do that.
No, and it's funny. People now realize more than ever how important judges are. Because I'll tell you, the headline in the Record and Landmark when I lost my reelection was no changes at the courthouse, right? Because the sheriff had won, Rena Turner, who was in the clerk of court, had won. And they even the local paper didn't realize. Now, granted, at the federal and the U.S. Supreme Court level, we're not going to be issuing nationwide injunctions here in district court anytime soon.
If some of them could, they would.
but it has served a purpose in letting people realize courts are important. They really are. And until you have to be in front of a judge where if your marriage is dissolving, child custody issues, judges are super important in your lives. So you want to make sure when you get into court, unfortunately, if that time ever arrives, whether your son gets a speeding ticket or marriage isn't going, you want a judge who's got an experience in all those areas and is going to make a good, sound decision.
No, I believe you'll do that.
I'll do it.
I do. I believe that. Now, it's kind of tricky for a judge to run. It takes money to fund campaigns, but you've got to be extremely careful. And I don't know, I'm not sure what your competition is doing. What do you do when you know there's going to be lawyers, attorneys that you're going to, if you win, going to be in front of? How do you handle that? Because that gets really tricky.
That is a great question, Jeff. So here's how it works. You get a treasurer in your campaign, and that's sort of a straw man fallacy. And by that I mean people contribute they give the contributions to your treasurer, so you ostensibly don't know, you shouldn't know who's contributing, but you have to report all that to the Board of Elections, so you know. So when I ran for judge and when I ran for my reelection, I did not accept any campaign contributions from any of the attorneys in my district. A couple of reasons. One is, you don't want to be in court with let's say your soon-to-be ex-spouse, and her attorney gave me the maximum allowable contribution by law, and your attorney stiffed me. And I don't want to be in that position as a judge, because then, and believe me, a lot of these calls in court are close calls. Child custody, good parents, toughest decisions I made in court. So if I'm sitting there and I think this is a real close call, but if I decide for the guy that gave me all that money, then it makes it look like it paid off. Then should I decide for the guy that didn't, because I don't want to look? So it puts the attorneys in uncomfortable positions where they feel like, I've got to contribute because he's going to know if I didn't. And I don't want to be on the bench with lawyers that have or have not contributed, putting me in an unequally uncomfortable position. So I figured it was best. Now, I got outspent 7-1 in my first reelection, but be that as it may, I stood on principle. So I'll self-fund, and I'll get it from non-attorneys, people that want to see good experienced judges in their community, and now more than ever realize the importance of that.
Well, that doesn't happen much. Let's put it that way. I know, and there's a lot of attorneys out there that go and fund a lot of different candidates.
Sure.
You've got to be careful. I find this and collecting money from people when they give donations to my campaign. It's because you like what I've been doing, not what I'm going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I try to stress that to people. If you think this is going to help, you in any way, well, it's just going to really help me in a way to move forward. But there's no strings attached to this. So if there is, just keep the money. Just keep the money. It's because you like what I've been doing, not what you think I'm going to do.
Yep, you got it.
So that's where it gets tricky. That's where it gets tricky. Tell us, minute, two, whatever. Why should we? And we've talked a lot, but this is the old stump speech.
Mm-hmm.
Why should we vote for Martin Gottholm for district court judge here in Iredell and Alexander County? Why?
My experience? Yeah, I've lived in Statesville since 1995 when I came over to be a prosecutor. I've got great experience in all the different areas. Great experience as a former judge. And I will work hard for the people of this county. Service has been a hallmark of a large part of my life, whether it's to the country, the county here. There are plenty of times I landed at Iredell and Davis Hospital when I was flying for air methods, and then working in the practice of law. And I've got some great recommendations from people that really knew me. One on Facebook was from Sylvia Boyd, who was the former, she was the clerk or the secretary that worked in the judge's office. She got to see all the judges. And she wrote just the most beautiful thing on Facebook, endorsing my reelection campaign. So the people that know me, and I used to tell people, talk to people in the courthouse, the people that have the experience, that know these people, and they'll give you some good recommendations in that regard. So
that speaks a lot of you when your fellow employees think highly of you. That says something. So most of the time, it didn't always work that way. What's the old saying? Everybody brings joy, some when they show up and some when they leave. A lot of people say they'd rather see some people leave. So the one thing that I want to hear whenever I talk with somebody who's running for a judgeship is, do you believe the Constitution to be the basis for our government, and are you willing to support it and to make sure that it's carried out to the fullest extent?
Absolutely. And I think...
And you've took that oath being a couple different times.
In the military, support and defend.
Yes.
And I think any lawyer or judge believes in the Constitution. They're not going to say they don't want to believe in it. Really, it lies in their interpretation. Exactly. Are you going to strictly construe it, or are you going to read things into it like you see at the federal level now? And you read things into it because you can really tell they know what the outcome, they want the outcome to be, and now they're going to interpret it to serve that outcome rather than the other way around. So for me, you go by the Constitution and nothing else.
Well, you got my vote. Folks, I think you got to seriously consider Martin Gottholm for your district court judge here, District 32. They'll be on the ballot. There's him and his opponent. Opponent I know, think's a good person. I just feel like I've got a lot more trust in Martin to do the job that I want done, to make sure that we follow the rule of law, the Constitution, law of the land, and to make sure that we have conservative, very thoughtful people making these decisions in our court systems. Like you said earlier, there's 3 different branches: legislative, executive, and judicial. And I think it's come back under reign, but there for a while, the judicial seemed to have about 37% instead of 33 1/3 of the power. And I think now they're coming back. And I think it's because we've gone out and found conservative judges to do the job. So what I'll say about Martin in this case here is I will endorse him, and he is the conservative Republican candidate for district court in District 32. And I thank you so much for coming and talking to us today. Good luck, and wish you well in this endeavor.
Jeff, thank you so much for the opportunity to come on and reach the citizens here in Iredell and Alexander counties. So GottholmLaw.com, and you'll see the signs start popping up pretty soon, because early voting once again February 12th.
It's coming.
And then March 3rd is going to decide this race.
That's right. Martin, appreciate you coming in, sir.
Thank you, Jeff.
So much. You can hang out if you want to. Real quick, going to bring up a few things. One right now, because I always like to do it. And I'm going to let this fall into my crazy as it gets. I maybe should have waited and done it, kind of the last thing. But Dave Bolick, who is our state auditor, busy man, love what Dave's doing. But this is also coming from the federal audit, too. And what we have basically here is says 54%. So over half of the North Carolina trucking license issued to foreigners that either drive here, we'll say North Carolina is the domestic, or we'll say across the country, but based out of North Carolina, 2 different forms, CDL and CMA, I think it is. Those were issued illegally, and those people shouldn't be driving. And so basically a cease and desist order has been issued from the U.S. Department of Transportation, and Sean Duffy has come out and said North Carolina's failure to follow rules isn't just shameful, it's dangerous. And it is. This is very critical, y'all. These trucks, they're weighing 80,000 pounds. It's a bomb. It can tear up a whole lot of stuff, trust me. And I've always said, nope, my truck drivers are listening. Truck drivers are unique individuals. They can destroy more stuff than anybody I've ever met. In one way or another, good or bad. And so having people that shouldn't have these licenses, that don't have the training, well, we're just asking for problems. And we've seen quite a few fatalities. And so my office right now, we're in the process trying to get all of our stuff together to get this information. I want all the information of all the fatalities that involve trucks that are having people in them that shouldn't have a license, shouldn't be in there, should have never got issued. We're going to see how difficult they're going to make this for me as a North Carolina legislator. But I don't think they want this out. They've sent the thing. DOT, DMV's got it. They really haven't answered back. Josh Stein, our governor, who's over the Department of Transportation, which is over DMV, he has chosen not to comment, so we have nothing from him. But there's $50 million worth of federal highway funds that could be upheld because of this. And so, to me, this is as crazy as it gets here in North Carolina. We're letting people run up and down the road. I don't know. I'm nervous. And a lot of trucking companies are fighting it right now as far as trying to stay alive. And you've got these, what I'll call outlaw trucking companies out there with drivers that shouldn't be on the road. And maybe they're throwing cheap freight out there, but they're also taking everybody's life in their own hands. I truly believe if you cannot read the traffic signs, if you cannot read what they say, because you do not speak English and you do not read English, you don't have time to get your phone out and let it translate for you while you're driving an 18-wheeled, 80,000-pound bullet, bomb, whatever you want to call it. But yet we seem to be letting this happen. And this is bad. This is bad. And being one of the chairs of transportation, this falls under my purview. No, I don't issue license, so I don't know everything that goes on. And believe me, the DOT, DMV doesn't divulge a lot of information to us. We have to go dig it up with a shovel most times. So this is one I'm bringing a track hoe to dig up and find out what's going on and how bad this really is. So I'm going to try to get this in the next coming shows and try to tell you just what we are up against. So let's go ahead and we'll go to prayers about that time, isn't it, Ron? Dear Heavenly Father, dear Lord, I pray you protect us out there on the highways, and I pray we right this wrong. I pray you be with us. You lead and guide us as we come about this election period, Lord. I pray you be with the candidates, and I know you will have your hand on whoever you wish to serve us. And that's what they do as elected officials. We serve our constituents, the people of our district, the people that we represent. So, Lord, let us be mindful of that, and it's an honor that we're allowed to do. Let us always have an ear. Let us always be able to listen more than we speak so that we can find out what the needs are of the people. Be with us, lead and guide us, give us knowledge, Lord, and as we do these jobs. In Jesus Christ's name I pray. Amen. Folks, until next week, take care.
Thank you for tuning in to Taking Care of NC. We hope today's program offered valuable insight into the topics shaping North Carolina's future. Stay informed, stay engaged, and join us next time as we continue exploring the issues that matter most to our state. Until then, take care, and thank you for being a part of the conversation.
Real Country is 550 AM WAME. 92.9 W225BD, Statesville.
WAME and Bunce Johnson Funeral Home are proud to present our national anthem, Bunce Johnson, where every detail matters. Call them at 704-873-7223 or stop by their location at 705 Davie Avenue, Statesville for your personalized experience.
Oh, say